Good morning, everybody. Glad you're here today, and invite you to follow along with me in the book of Proverbs, in the 22nd chapter, the 22nd verse. And we will be looking at a common theme again in the book of Proverbs, and that is the protection of the poor, the disabled, the warning against doing anything against them, to come against them. We see in verse 22, it starts out by talking about rob not the poor, and the word that is used there isn't speaking necessarily of an armed robbery or hitting them over the head with a stick. It's actually more the idea of doing something that is legal, but still takes advantage of someone who is disadvantaged, someone who is poor. Using, this might not be a great example, but somebody who is already wealthy, who uses their finances and their access to maybe good lawyers to come against someone who is less able to defend himself. And what they're doing, again, is not necessarily against the law, but it would not be considered morally correct. That's more the idea of something that is that this the proverb is talking about, using a loophole in the law, something like that, to be able to take advantage of someone. And he gives us two reasons why we shouldn't do that. Rob not the poor, because he is poor. Don't don't they're already poor, and the idea of poor here is not necessarily financially poor, but someone in poverty, someone who doesn't have a job, maybe they are handicapped in some way, something like that. They're the word I get, maybe helpless would be a word that we would use. Don't take advantage of that. Don't kick a man while he's down. There's the phrase that maybe in our time works better, because they're not able to defend themselves, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. And the gate in that time was basically what we would call the courtroom. They would go out to the gates of the city, and the wise men, the leaders, would be sitting at the gate, and there people would bring their claims against others, and the decisions will be made. And so he's saying, don't take advantage, don't take someone who is disadvantaged and abuse them through even the legal system. Even if it's legal, we don't take advantage of that situation. And then he gives us the second reason. He says, "For the Lord will plead their cause and spoil the soul of those that spoiled them." God, we see this from Genesis to Revelation, takes care of the needy. He takes care. He defends the helpless. And you may win in the courtroom. You may have the lawyer, the superior lawyer, but when you take advantage of the poor, the poverty-stricken, the handicapped, he says that God will punish them. God will ultimately, you'll stand before God in His court. And there's a saying that probably many of you have heard: just because something's true doesn't mean you have to say it. Just truth is not the only only test for whether or not we say something. To give an example, they may be ugly, but you don't call them you don't call them ugly. Just because it's true, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right to say. And because it's legal or the law would allow it, does not mean that we should manipulate or use the law to take advantage specifically here of the poor, the downtrodden, those who are already, again, I like that statement, rob not the poor because he's poor. Don't just use that as an excuse, as a way to get what we want. And that is really a good measuring stick for not just the court or whatever, but there's a lot of things we can that don't necessarily need to be said or done just because they're legal or they're right or they're true. Again, we need to learn to bite our tongue sometimes, to remember that God takes care of those in need. All right, think about it. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.